Hi, I'm Ravi Handa. I'm the founder of the website handakafunda.com. And welcome to the Factopedia on the Greek debt crisis. As you might know, these Factopedias are video tutorials which help you score more in the entrance exams. Now, my goal has never been to provide a deep level understanding of what's going on, but to focus on marks, to focus on things which might get asked in the exams like IIFT, SNAP, and XAT. And that's what I'm going with here. So this video will deal with what's going on in Greece and what questions can be asked and what are the things that you should be careful about. Say, for example, some very basic information about Greece. Its capital is Athens, has a population of 1.1 crore, roughly around Delhi. It has a GDP of around 300 billion US dollars, which is more or less the market cap of Google. It has a very high human development index, probably one of the causes of the Greek debt crisis. We'll get to it, but do keep in mind that it is high now. It used to be very high, so they are going down. Well, when money goes, it takes away a lot of things with it, and human development index rankings are just one of them. So let's go back to where the whole story started. Initially, Greece used to have a currency called the drachma. The drachma as a term means handful, because the earlier currency was a handful of 6 metal sticks, and that's how the term drachma originated. It moved to the euro in 2001 when Greece became a part of the eurozone. So now what happened, there was a certain amount of division of power. How much money they can print was now being decided by the European Central Bank, very much like the RBI decides it in India, but the Greek government controls spending. And that is where the conflict comes into the picture. Now, since the 90s, there was a false reporting of deficits and debts, and one government kept on blaming it on the previous government, but it kept on going on and on. In 2001, it joined the Eurozone, so which gave it a certain amount of credibility. Cost of labor went up. The tax evasion had always been a problem. They were not making enough money. They were not collecting enough money. And joining the Eurozone kind of weakened the economy even further, but it increased their reputation. And if it increased their reputation, they used to get loans easily. That is where Goldman Sachs comes into the picture. Anything wrong goes in the financial world, more or less Goldman Sachs always comes into the picture. The CEO of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Bankfein, might be a question as a multiple choice option. So yeah, as I was saying, so they used to get loans a little bit easier at low interest rates because now they were part of the euro, which means they were getting more money, they were spending more money. What were they spending more money on? They were giving out pensions, they were giving out subsidies or some formats of it. Also, the Greek government is heavily involved in various public sector units. It's kind of like India, maybe a lot more involvement. India has a lot of non-government organizations running a whole bunch of things. The current government, as a matter of fact, is trying to privatize more and more. But Greece is kind of stuck in, let's say, the pre-90s era, where the biggest industries, the biggest things, the biggest producers are kind of controlled by the government. And since they are not very well financially managed, they are kind of socialist in nature, they are not really making a lot of money, but they were kept on getting loans and they kept on increasing the subsidies, the pensions and all that, which kind of worsened the situation even further. 2008 was the big global crisis, and the biggest industries in Greece have always been tourism and shipping. And when there is recession, obviously both of them got hit, which made situation for Greece even worse. In 2009, when the new government came, what it did was it went on begging for loans to pay its subsidies, pay its pensions, and run its public sector units and everything. So they got the loan from something which came to be known as the Troika. The Troika consists of the European, and it's kind of a derogatory term also, you can say, in some ways. So European Commission, the EC, which is headed by Jean-Claude Juncker. I'm not sure if that is the correct pronunciation, but you don't need the pronunciation. You just need to tick mark it in the exam. Who is the president? The International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, who is the MD. The European Central Bank, whose president is Mario Draghi. So these are the Troika who lent money to Greece, Well, they had given a loan, they put in some conditions that now you no longer can give out huge pensions, or they imposed austerity measures. Now, you might have heard the term austerity being used with respect to the Greek crisis a lot of times. So, what it essentially meant was that now government spending cannot be very high. You cannot give out huge amount of pensions. You cannot spend too much on social welfare, which led to its own set of problems, because if they were giving out less pensions, people had less money in hand, so they were spending less, and it overall had a collapsing effect on the economy. And because it had collapsing effect on the economy, their debt went down, the deficit went down, the problems went down, but the overall economy also crashed. And when the economy kept on crashing, the loans that they had taken from the Troika, they were not able to pay these loans back. And that is where the German Chancellor Angela Merkel comes into the picture. They said, okay, fine, you don't give me back my loans. Maybe I can give you some more loans. I can give you some sort of a bailout. She is a very influential figure with the European Central Bank and the European Commission, because let's face it, Germany has the power, Germany has the money. France also plays a role, but German banks who kind of control the Eurozone, the European economy. This is, let me add, all what I am saying is a gross generalization, but it is good enough for you for the exam. So we can have a debate on it. Might be some of the facts are not 100% correct, but they give you the broad right direction. Okay, going back to it, the German economy or the German banks kind of control the European Central Bank, the European Commission. They have the power, they have the money. So they said, okay, fine, we'll give you more money, we'll give you more bailout, but you need to seriously and strictly implement the austerity measures, which caused a problem in Greece. Greece with a crippling economy, unemployment, people not even having enough money to eat. And this is a country which used to have a very high HDI, or a Human Development Index, and now a chunk of population, I think around 20, 25 or maybe even 30%, went down the poverty line, whichever way they define it, which caused a whole set of issues. So there was an election sometime in January 2015 where the old Prime Minister Antonis Samaras, who belonged to the New Democracy Party, was replaced by a new PM, Alexis Tsipras, of the Syriza Party. His finance minister, who was kind of at the center of it from Jan to July, was a guy called Yanis Varoufakis. Well, smart man, he used to go on a bike to meet Prime Minister of England, so he's kind of like a cool dude, which did not go very well with some of the people. And his main idea along with the PM was, okay, so we need to decide what are we going to do about this loan thing. If we continue with the loan and we keep on repaying that loan, we need to take more loan, and basically we need to cooperate with the Troika. But if we cooperate with the Troika and we'll have to listen to Angela Merkel, that will mean we need to have more austerity measures. June 30th was the date that they had to pay back the loan. They did not have the money, so they could not pay back the loan. So they did a referendum. The referendum essentially was that, okay, are we paying the Troika back? Are we going to listen to Angela Merkel? The Greek people voted vehemently no. We are not going to do that. We don't need any more austerity. We are going to, well, do basically whatever we want. We are already in a very bad position right now. Things cannot get worse. And it is not good for the economy that you keep on clamping down, because then the economy will never be able to get out of it. And that was the referendum, and which made Greece as the first developed country which did not pay back its loan to the IMF. So, to be honest, in some ways, this reminded me of kind of if the Lannisters have refused to pay back to the Iron Bank at Bravos. We don't know what happens there, and we don't know what will happen here as well. But this is what has happened, so they have defaulted in a way. And now comes the next term, which has become really, really popular, which is the Grexit, or the Greek exit from the Eurozone. Now, this is being suggested as some people by the only solution, or how things are going to pan out, that Greece will no longer be a part of the Eurozone because it will have to start printing back its own money. See, they can't print any more euros because that's controlled by the European Central Bank, which is a part of the Troika, which is heavily influenced by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. But if they start printing their own money, which is accepted in their own country, at least they can have the pensions going, and they can do multiple other things. Whether it will happen or not, we don't know. But that is kind of a solution which looks likely, and people are kind of scared of it because they don't know what impact such a thing will happen on the euro, what sort of impact it will have on the German banks. And because German banks and the French banks, a lot of them have lent money to Greece, and if Greece decides, fine, we are not going to pay up, all their economies will be impacted. But there is one thing, however, the impact on the complete European economy might not be so bad, because in 2009 when the Troika started lending, so the Troika gave money to Greece, and what Greece actually did is paid the loans back to its European banks from whom it had borrowed. So with this sort of cycle, borrowing from the Troika and paying it back to the German and the French banks have kind of insulated the European economy from the Grexit if and when it happens. Not a good thing, bad thing for Greece, but at least not a bad thing for the world. The term Grexit, however, now this is also a possibility for a question, was formed by Citigroup's chief analyst William H. Buter, probably that's how it's pronounced, and Ebrahim Rahabari. So again, these are some of the names that you need to remember, you need to keep in mind. One more name, so this guy Yanis Varoufakis, who was instrumental in getting the referendum done, talking to the Troika, and he was kind of the central figure globally in this entire Greek debt crisis in 2015. He was kicked out, he resigned, or he was removed. I don't really know what happened there. And now they have a new finance minister, and his name is Euclid Tsakalotos. I am not even going to pronounce it clearly. So guys, that's pretty much it about the Greek debt crisis. I hope you learned something from it, and much more important, some of the terms and some of the names that you have learned here, try and keep them in mind. I also recommend that you watch this video maybe twice or thrice so that it is there in your memory, and when you see a question based on this, you will have 4 options, and the name which is there in this particular video, that will most probably be your answer. With that, I'd like to wrap up this video. Hope you learned something from this, and keep looking out for more Factopedias. Thank you.